Hi everyone, and welcome back to Thrifty Mama Scraps. This is a homeschool planner video, and I apologize that it goes by so fast. I didn't realize when I recorded it that it would be so quick, and I also did not realize that it is somewhat sideways. So I am just going to go with it, and hopefully you can gain some insight on how I do my homeschool planning for the month. As you can see right here, this is the monthly section of the planner. It's an undated happy planner, and it is the large size. And I don't use, as you can see, I cover it with washi tape where the dates are. I do use the weekly spread as weekly planning goes for my weekly lesson plans. So, and you'll see when I turn back how I organize all the subjects. The monthly spread I use for individual work, and then the page before that, which has like birthdays and special events and all that on there, I cover up with washi tape, and I use that for our group work that we do. So right here I'm using washi tape to cover up the lines because the top section I use for my middle son, and then the middle section I use for my youngest son for their individual work, and then the bottom section I use for group work. And we do science together, history together, social or geography together, Spanish together, and nature study together, and Bible together. So that page that I just flipped back to, that was where I list all of the group stuff, except for history and science is on the monthly spread. The last two sections are history and science. And when I do that, I write down all the chapters of a book. When we're going to start a book, I do all the chapters of the book. I just list them, and then at the end of every week, whatever chapter that we've gotten to, I will cross off. So I know a starting point for the following week when I'm planning, that I know what chapter we're on that we need to start with. That way I don't have to go through books every single week. It's kind of redundant to continue to pull out books every single week just to plan. So the last week, or the last Saturday of every month, I will sit down for a couple hours and I will go through all the books and then see where we're at, or if I don't have it written down from the previous month. So basically I'll copy month to month. I'll just take those pages out from the month before. And then, like, when I was planning March, I took out the monthly spread from February, and then I kind of started my March spread from the point where we left off in February. And then if it doesn't go far enough, if it's not enough work for the complete month, then I'll pull out the books and I'll continue writing lessons down on that. And then when I'm doing my weekly spread every Sunday, then I just have to flip back to, or pull the pages out from that monthly spread from that I had done the last week of the previous month. So right now I'm using a stamp set, and to put the number dates on for this week. So this is the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I used a Close to My Heart tiny ink pad, and I used a Close to My Heart little stamping block, and the stamps were from Felicity Jane. So right now I'm going through stickers and trying to figure out which stickers I want to put on here. I usually pick a couple inspirational stickers just to decorate the planner. It's not for any purpose. I cover up Saturday and Sunday, and because I don't need them for, during our school calendar. And I'll put inspirational stickers there, and sometimes I'll write notes. It just depends what's going on. I put a lot of notes under priorities and notes on this page, especially like if we have read aloud books. And, our things like geography and Spanish and things that I don't normally list with basically electives. In whatever we're studying. So as you can see, I'm putting heart stickers. I'm using heart stickers this week. And this is a good way to use up your happy planner, those little tiny stickers. Is I use them to mark each assignment that the kids have. So usually they have two main things of their individual work that they do every day, which one is math and one is reading English, kind of combined, literature combined. So because my boys are older, they don't necessarily have reading lessons. They usually have a book that I choose for them. They have book lists. And so then as they're reading those books, then when they're done, they do a book report. And then they also have an English book, and I'll write down that assignment, and those are listed on the monthly spread page as well. And then I just copy what pages they have to do for that. And so during reading time, I do have them read aloud to me, just because I think it's good practice for them to read aloud. And that's just from the book that I choose for them to read for the month. And that way they can go through a lot of chapter books during the year. And I try to make some of them a little bit more challenging than others. Like right now, my middle son, he's reading The Curious Incident of the disappearing dog in the nighttime. I think that's the name of it. I may be incorrect. But that book is written by a boy or a young man that has autism. And so all the chapters are using prime numbers. So I had to go through the book and write down each chapter because they're not, the chapters aren't numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 1, 5. Right now he's on 163, and then it goes to 160, 173 or whatever. I'm not even sure, but so that book is, a little bit different, but it's an interesting book. And then my middle son, or my youngest son, he's currently reading Mr. Revere and I, and it's about Paul Revere, and except for it's written by Paul Revere's horse, and it's a fiction book, and it has a lot of historical information in it, but just from the point of view of the horse, if that makes sense. So it kind of makes it a little bit comical as well. So here I'm looking back at my monthly spread, the way that I have things listed. I'm writing science down now, and the boys are currently reading a book about Sir Isaac Newton, because right now we're studying space. And we do use an Abeka science book, and that's what unit we're on. And usually when we're studying something or a specific subject in science or history, I will try to find books that go along with that subject. And so then they can read that and they can narrate those books, or do a biographical book report on the book that they're reading. So, and as you can see, I just kind of flip back and forth. I do have a pink piece of paper covering up weight, as you can see, and it's because we're all kind of on a weight loss plan right now, and so just for privacy reasons, I just covered that up. And we do weigh we weigh ourselves every Monday, and then we write it down. And the boys are really doing a really good job. I wish I could say the same for me but I'm a lot older, and it takes more time for me than it does for young boys. So, and as you can see in my planner, I do not have PE listed because we don't do PE, but we do have a treadmill, and the boys do they walk on the treadmill just like they practice the piano. They're in piano lessons, and I don't write those on the planner. It's just something that they do after school, so it just happens every single day that they do that. Or they play basketball. We have a basketball hoop. They play basketball, or they, that kind of stuff. So, or they take the dogs for walks too every day. But we don't have any formal PE class for them, but they're doing fine. So right now I am writing down history, and we're studying, we use Story of the World curriculum for history, but it doesn't have everything, as much meat in it that I wanted. And because we're studying the American Revolution, so I chose 3 additional books to use as supplements for this specific subject in history. So right now they're reading For King and Country, and that's a book about George Washington. And they're also reading the Book of War, and that's a book that basically has all the wars and battles from the beginning of America to, the beginning of time, really, to present day. So we're just doing the battles of the American Revolution and the main people that were involved in the American Revolution, because Story of the World has one chapter on the American Revolution, and then they skip over right to the Constitution. And there's just a lot of information in between that I wanted the boys to learn and know about, that was missing from that curriculum. And so you can easily add that stuff in by finding supplemental books that are that will fill in that gap. So right now I'm writing down their individual work, which is their math and their reading, and they also have their own spelling books that they use. Like I said, my boys are older, so one of my boys doesn't actually have a specific spelling book anymore, but he does do spelling and vocabulary, and they do take a pretest every Monday. If they get 100 on the pretest, then they don't have to take a test on Friday. On Wednesday, they do spelling work, whether that be work that I have created for them or work from a spelling book. So, in here I'm writing down the chapters of the books that they need to read, and also their English work, because they have their own individual English books. So I just kind of combine those because those two kind of go together. Our day starts out, we do Bible, then we do math, reading, English, and then we start our group studies. So after English, we go right into science and history. And then depending on the day, we'll do geography, nature study, Spanish, and art on Fridays. So here I'm writing down my youngest son's work. And as you can see on the top section, it goes from chapter 167 to chapter 173 because they're prime numbers, and that red book that's up above. I think I show it in the beginning of this video. Like I said, I really apologize that this video is so much faster than I had planned it to be, but if you want me to do a slower video, I would be very happy to do a more in-depth video of how I plan if this is too fast for you. But I think this kind of gives a gist of what I'm doing and how I plan every week. It keeps me on track. I've been homeschooling this is my 10th year. And so I've gone through a lot of different trial and error and different systems of how I do my lesson plans. And this just happens to be the one that I think I've been using this specific system for about 4 years now. I realize that this system works really well for me. In the past, I've used a separate book. Before I had the Happy Planner, I had a separate notebook that I wrote all the assignments in, and then I did the same thing as what I do here. This is just a little bit more succinct and put together, a little bit more user-friendly than the separate notebook was. So, and then there was a time way before that I used index cards, and so it's just all trial and error until you find a system that works for you, and not every system works for everybody. This is just what works for us. So what I'm looking at now is the Bible, the book that we're currently using for Bible. And that's a handbook of Christian maturity. It's a book written for high school and college age students. So, and it really is an in-depth study of the Bible and, every section of the Bible, every book, and what it all means as a whole. But we're finding it very interesting. We're just doing one section a week on that book. So here I'm trying to figure out what else I need to add into the week. I'm looking at nature study, it looks like. What we do for nature study is we use a specific book that kind of tells a story, and you can use so many different things. There's the storybook of science. You can use that, or you could use the handbook of nature, which is by Comstock. You can use that as well, and usually those books will give the scientific name and the common name for plants and insects, just any trees in nature. And what we do is my kids will do a drawing of that specific plant that they want you to draw, or bird or whatever, insect or whatever, and they'll draw it in their nature notebook, and then they'll color it in with colored pencils, or they'll paint, they'll dry brush it, and then they'll write down the common name and the scientific name. And then we like to play Jeopardy a lot in our homeschool, and I basically use Post-it notes, and we'll just number, the category, and I put the dollar amount or the point amount. We don't use dollars, but so I put those on the Post-it notes, and then have the categories, and then they match them up. They match up scientific name with the common name and so forth, and it helps them learn. You can do that with art, with studying artists and their paintings. There's so many different ways that you can use it. But I thank you for watching, and if you would like to see more videos like this, just let me know, comment below, and like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.